Green growth is a question that still poses itself for us, whether or not growth is really an indicator or a doctrine of economies now and in the future.
What does resilience mean? Why is there a lot of emphasis on resilience building and recovery? Is it a sustainable approach?
Resilience is a very practical approach, and it's advice to policymakers and communities to prepare themselves for the worst. Resilience means to recover quickly from a shock and to return to the status quo ante, that is the situation before the shock. However, it does not accommodate the continuous improvement of living conditions or the progressive realization of human rights. It doesn't have the same normative framework as sustainable development. And therefore, we need to be critical about the way the concept of resilience is being applied, especially to communities and individuals or to states that are affected disproportionately by shocks. It's very practical, but as a sustainable concept, it is by no means a remedy or a solution. It's just a matter of getting by and returning to the situation.
What does green economy and growth mean for the role of state and the private sector?
Well, green economy means a shift from the highly consumptive and polluting industries and enterprises that have characterized development in the past. Green economy and green growth are, of course, different concepts, but it is somehow assumed that in the process of green transition that investors can still make a profit, that growth of economies can still be realized. We're seeing also in some of the funding that goes to green transition that a disproportionate amount goes to private sector, and this green growth concept that attracts investment in, let's say, renewable resources, energy resources, and well, the shift of public goods and services and utilities to private profit-making interests is also a feature of the discourse. So this has also become a critical question in the context of the COVID pandemic, especially where economies are actually putting more money, public money, into the system without growth being a priority.
Considering the environment-related goals of the Agenda 2030 and the reporting of the Arab states through voluntary national review process, what are your main observations?
In general, and historically, Arab states have been quite diligent in their reporting. And we've seen really an improvement in the quality of reporting over the years. Certainly, reporting to the high-level political forum on sustainable development growth or sustainable development goal progress. However, we have some states that have completely ignored the reporting guidelines on SDG 13, which deals with climate action, or on the goal 7 dealing with the shift to sustainable energy and affordable energy for all.
How does financing for green projects work? Who are the engaged actors? What is important to consider with regard to their role?
Well, the main actors are a community of funds, development funds, coordinating bodies, and also, of course, donor states. Among them are the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, the World Bank, alternative funds, the Green Climate Fund, for example. And these are large donors that are coordinating internally and, of course, among each other to find the most effective way to realize the green transition. These funds also have certain patterns of supporting, for example, pathways to privatization, which is also very concerning. And also these funds need to be monitored by civil society to understand where the money is going, since we have in some cases something like 40% of the funds going into the private sector.
What are the key recommendations you propose in your research for civil society?
Well, first of all, civil society needs to build or develop further a community of observers, of literacy in how green transition is being implemented across the countries. We also need to focus on some of these same issues, that is, the obligations of states vis-à-vis the voluntary commitments. We need to also make sure that as civil society, that green transition is not being used as a pretext for human rights violations like forced evictions or displacement of people that do not comply with the standards of international human rights law.
To know more about green transition discourse in MENA region, visit ANND.org for the full text of the report
by Joseph Shekla.